We have seen that the threat against our country in the nuclear age is an extremely broad one. With modern weapons, we could be attacked anywhere, at any time, with little warning. Your government is preparing to meet the threat of nuclear warfare with all of the skill and ingenuity it possesses. But national survival concerns not only our government, but us as individuals. We all have a responsibility to help. Civil defense is teamwork for national survival, teamwork at the federal, state, community, and family level. If our national defense is to overcome or deter aggression, all of these groups must function as a team. Each individual must know how to protect himself and help others. Every member of the family must be coached in the business of survival. Civil defense officials are well aware of the power of women and are calling on the nation's homemakers to do the coaching. Each family must have its own emergency action plan, and it must have the training and available resources to carry it out. This takes careful preparation and practice. Above all, every member of the family should understand radioactive fallout and how to protect himself from it. Everyone should be familiar with our warning signals. They call for instinctive action. Everyone must also know about the emergency communication system. And it is well to know and understand where the warning stems from and how it will be relayed by CONELRAD. And all should know first aid and emergency home preparedness. Trained assistance probably will be unavailable in a national emergency, and each family will have to care for itself and its members. Every member of your family should have specific tasks to perform in an emergency. Once everyone knows his job, the entire family should practice your home protection exercises. Do it regularly, at least once every 3 months. At least some members of your family should have special training in key home protection skills. They will then be able to assist other members of the family in their assignments. At least one adult should be trained in first aid. The Red Cross has a 10-hour course. If possible, everyone in your family should have it. Someone also should take the Red Cross Home Care of the Sick and Injured course. Home rescue and firefighting courses are available, and someone in your family should take them as soon as possible. The techniques learned may save your home. They may save your lives. While the responsibility for home protection must be shared by all members of the family, it rests mainly with the homemaker. With a little gentle help from Mother, families can all be well prepared. To help you organize your home protection program, the Office of Civil and Defense Mobilization has adopted a Home Preparedness Award. It is conferred on families whose homes are adequately prepared. To merit this award, members of your family must fulfill these 20 requirements. You must know the warning signals and what they mean. Alert: a blast of 3 to 5 minutes on the siren. Which means take action as directed by your local officials. And a warbling tone. or a series of short blasts, which mean attack. Seek the best available shelter immediately. Know your community's plan for emergency action. Your civil defense officials either have one or are working on one. Understand what your role should be. See that your own plans correspond to the overall plan. Select a family shelter area. Pick the spot which will afford the best possible natural protection from radioactive fallout, and then determine how you can improve its protective features. Remember that everyone can protect himself from fallout by placing a heavy mass of material between himself and the radiation. For excellent protection, you will need the equivalent of 1 foot of concrete. The most likely spot for your shelter area will be in the corner of your basement, which is most protected. Additional shielding may be added by blocking windows with sand, bricks, magazines, or other heavy material. You will need plans for emergency cooking. A small cooking unit which will utilize the least oxygen is best. Candle, for instance. Be sure you have plenty of fuel and matches. You will also need a plan for emergency heating in the event of cold weather. A portable electric heater would be good until the power goes off. When the electricity is cut off, you will need emergency lighting. An adequate low-level lighting system can be constructed economically. Consult your family fallout shelter book for directions. Have the man of the house fix up the low-level lighting system on a standby basis. The occasional need for a brighter light can be met by a flashlight or an electric lantern. Don't forget spare batteries. Next, know what to do about radioactive fallout. It will be one of the primary threats in an attack, but you can protect yourself. Select your shelter area with fallout protection in mind. Learn which locations offer the best natural protection from fallout. Remember that basements in office and apartment buildings are very good because of their heavy construction. And in the event someone becomes exposed to fallout, you must know decontamination measures. Also, how to dispose of contaminated clothing, food, or water. You must have a 2-week supply of food and water. Get sample menus from your civil defense officials. Put the emphasis on canned and bottled foods which require little or no cooking. Don't forget to include special foods for elderly persons, babies, or the chronically ill, such as diabetics. Remember that pleasing the family's taste will be more important to their morale in an emergency than it is at the dinner table. Water should be bottled in the equivalent of 1/2 gallon per person per day. It should be rotated at least twice a year. Tap water, like the other utilities, probably will be shut off in an emergency. You must know the different ways of purifying water. You must have a radio that does not depend on a commercial source of power. It probably will be your only communication with the outside world. Be sure to have extra batteries. Remember that the better protected your shelter area, the worse your chances of radio reception. Check the reception in your area. You may need an outside aerial. Know your CONELRAD stations, 640 or 1240 on your standard AM radio dial. Keep tuned to one or the other throughout the emergency. This will be your source of survival instructions and information. Remember that CONELRAD reception will not be consistent everywhere. It won't be as good as reception of your daily programs. Test your reception to be sure that you can receive broadcasts. Every home must have a good first aid kit. Consult the Civil Defense First Aid leaflet for a list of basic items you will need. Also, don't forget medicines for chronic illnesses. Your first aid items should be packaged in a waterproof wrapping and stored with your 2-week supply of food and water. They should also be ready to be moved to your car if you are called on to evacuate. Have plenty of emergency clothing and blankets. This will be very important in cold weather. In any weather, you will want some changes of clothing. Morale will be one of your biggest problems in an emergency. Time will pass faster if you have recreational supplies for the family, games and books, and religious articles. Your next requirement is to do fire preventive housekeeping. Give your house and yard a thorough and periodic cleaning for flammable objects. The best way to fight fire is to remove potential fuel. If your drapes and slipcovers are not fire-resistant, treat them at home. Check your chimney, pipes, and heating equipment, your electrical appliances and cords periodically. These are sound, everyday practices. Have emergency firefighting plans and equipment, stored water in case the taps are off, and a hand pump. Faucet adapters for your garden hose, a good ladder, and perhaps a fire extinguisher. Give each member of your family a firefighting assignment and hold periodic fire drills, at least once every 3 months, so that you will all become an instinctive firefighting team. Another requirement is emergency sanitation plans. Be sure you have everything you need to meet your family's requirements. Cans with tight-fitting lids, plenty of disinfectants, soap, towels, and washcloths, and so on. Have a detailed family emergency plan which encompasses all of the protective techniques you have learned. Make sure that all members of the family are familiar with it. Practice often. If your community plan calls for evacuation, your family plan should include supplies and equipment for quick movement to the family car. And be sure also that the car is in good working order at all times. Be sure that your preparations and plans are current with your state and local plans. Because the nuclear threat has developed so rapidly, civil defense is still developing to meet the threat. Fulfillment of these 20 requirements we have just reviewed makes your family eligible for the Home Preparedness Award. The preparations are simple, but oh, so important. Start right away to make your home a prepared home. There is still another award for which I know you will want to strive. This is the special gold citation for those who actually acquire a family fallout shelter which meets approved specifications. This is much easier and less expensive than you would imagine, and the reassurance it will give you and your family in any emergency will be worth every penny you spend. You can build one yourselves in your spare time. In this way, it will cost you only a few $100s, but will be worth much more in peace of mind. If you want a little better protection, you can hire a contractor to build one of several shelters from approved civil defense plans. Any of the approved shelters will provide virtually complete fallout protection. Make your plans right now to become a winner of the Gold Citation by acquiring an approved fallout shelter and stocking it with the necessary supplies and equipment. I cannot emphasize too strongly the importance of family planning right away. Remember that the National Civil Defense Plan assumes it will be 2 weeks after an attack before any outside help will be available. During those first 2 weeks, especially, millions of families may be totally dependent upon their own resources for survival. None of us wants to chance the possibility that ours will not be adequate. Let's don't leave it to chance, then. A minimum of effort will pay handsome dividends in an emergency. And right now, in your family's increased sense of security in these troubled times.